Hello everyone, I'm Taylor Bambico. For today's video, it's going to be episode 3 of Gun Shop Tales. And episode 3 is going to be all about this right here. This is episode number 4. I have no idea why I said it was episode number 3. That was a really wild time for everyone, and I know I did say in an earlier video I was going to make an episode about that, so here it is. When that all started, I know I was talking to one of the managers about that. He'd been in the industry for, I think at that point, almost 35 years, and he had seen quite a few rushes on firearm sales and the like. So he wasn't too worried about it, and I came in the industry in 2014, about 2 years after the massacre that occurred at the school in Connecticut in 2012. So like him, I wasn't too concerned. I figured it was just going to be another rush. But we were wrong. One thing that was obviously selling the most was ammunition. And I'm talking all calibers, not just 9mm and 45, but 223 obviously, 308, 7.62x39, and 40 caliber. 22 long rifle didn't take too much of a hit to begin with. Once all the other cartridges were pretty much depleted, then 22 really took a hit. Ammunition predominantly used in hunting rifles wasn't affected too much, at least where I was at in the country. Now, from what I remember regarding 12 gauge and 20 gauge shells, those didn't get affected too much until much later on as well. Of course, that was only half of it. Now, of course, before everything really kicked off, firearms were relatively plentiful. You could find just about any handgun you wanted so long as it was available through a distributor. Now, at least where I was at in the country, handguns were generally the #1 seller right behind shotguns. In the state I was in at the time, new laws had come into effect regulating semi-automatic rifles quite a bit more than other firearms. So predominantly people were just going to handguns or shotguns in this case. So on that note, any semi-automatic rifle, whether it be an AR pattern or a Ruger 1022, in the state I used to be in, you need to go through a class and then show that you had gone through that class. Then you had to do the paperwork, obviously. Then it was submitted to the state. You had a mandatory 11 business day wait. And even if we got a response sooner from the state, the person couldn't come in until the time had expired. Whereas for handguns, if we got a response from the state sooner, we'd give you a call, you'd come in and get it, and go on your way. So when there were people who were buying semi-automatic rifles, and they wanted to know why was there this longer waiting period, we told them about the law that was going to regulate these, and we asked them about that, and they said, oh yeah, I knew about that, I voted for it. Yeah. Yes, there's a mandatory waiting period for a semi-automatic rifle. However, a semi-automatic shotgun, no, it was an instant background check with the FBI. And because of that law, many people were just passing on buying semi-automatic rifles, instead just bought handguns. Well, not Desert Eagles, but you get the idea. On average, one of our cases held 36 pistols, unless of course they were something like the Desert Eagle, then it was significantly fewer. However, generally there was 36 pistols in a case. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 5 or 6 cases full. Then there was 2 or 3 cases of used handguns. After a couple months of the buying that we saw, on average there was maybe 5 or 6 pistols per case. One thing I did not see, however, was no one bought a Desert Eagle during that time. I remember one day I was looking at what was available through our distributors. Pretty much every handgun there was a fair amount available. Next day, everything was marked 0. So from that point forward, whenever one of the distributors called and was talking to managers, they asked them, what do you want? They just said yes. Whatever the store could get their hands on, they would take it. Of course, as that was happening, before we really started cracking down on how many people we let in the store at the time, the line generally started from where we had, at that time I think it was ammunition. It went to the store, or the back of the store, to the front door, out, along the building, around the service door, around the dumpster, and past all the cars. And that was generally the norm for, well, several months. There was a time I remember when it was still all hectic at that moment, and after I was done with one customer, I said, all right, who's next? After a few seconds, if no one decided to come forward, I went, you! And if one of them had said, V, I would have been like, okay, you and I are going to be best friends. But that never happened, unfortunately. It was fun-ish. Would I do it again? Probably not. It was definitely hectic times. You got to meet a lot of different people. You got to hear many different perspectives on what was going on because everyone was getting information from everywhere at this point. So it was just a very interesting time, that's for sure. While there's definitely a lot more I could definitely say about this particular situation right here, I figured we're just going to do a little short video on that. I could definitely make this video much longer. I see no reason to actually do so. So, well, that was my video on this subject right here. If you enjoyed it, remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Click that bell icon to notify when I upload new content. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and have a good day. See ya!